Hello. In this tips and tricks for accessibility video, we're going to look at how to ensure the colour contrast of your documents is accessible. Colour contrast refers to the colour difference between your background and any text or images displayed on it. Colour contrast affects people's ability to perceive information, so when you're creating teaching materials, ensuring effective colour contrast is a small but effective way to boost accessibility. Colour contrast affects everyone. People may perceive differently because of visual disabilities or learning difficulties, but there are a variety of other reasons why this is the case. For example, the amount of light that reaches the back of the eye reduces naturally with age. Screens vary widely in size and resolution, and reading in differently lit spaces, even on a screen, can have a large impact on how text appears. By paying attention to colour contrast, you give all viewers the best chance of being able to clearly access the content you are displaying on a web page. There are two things to consider when ensuring the colour contrast of your documents is accessible. We'll go through these separately. First of all, for text or other elements to be distinguishable, they need to have sufficient contrast with the background colour. For example, this colour contrast between text and background is an obvious no-no for any viewer, as the contrast between the text and background is so low it is hard to read the text. At the same time, you should also avoid very high contrast. Too much contrast can also reduce accessibility. Harvard University's guidelines on accessibility explain the need to be aware also that for some people, especially people with dyslexia, a very high contrast colour scheme can make reading more difficult. It's a good idea to choose an off-white background colour rather than a white background to aid on-screen reading. So let's say that you've tried to make sure your colour contrast is high, but not too high. How can you still be sure that the colour contrast you find clear and comfortable is accessible when we know that people see things in different ways? The official Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, recommend minimum levels for colour contrast between text and background based on a mathematical formula, and there are tools you can use to measure this for you. For example, you can use this colour contrast checker to check your document for contrast quickly and easily. To use a checker, first find out the hexadecimal or hex number that describes the colour of your background and your text, or their RGB numbers. In Google Docs, you can find the hex number of your background colour in the Page Setup menu. Just select Custom. For text, select Text Colour in the top menu, then Custom. In Word, you can find RGB numbers in both the Page Colour and Font Colour menus. In each case, just select More Colour. Then, access the checker website, enter the text hex number in the foreground field, then the background hex number in the background field, and the checker will let you know what the colour contrast ratio is and whether it passes accessibility guidelines. Secondly, to ensure accessibility, anything that is indicated by a colour needs to have a second way to enable viewers to distinguish it. For example, it is not helpful to give a student the instruction, tick the green box if you agree or the red box if you don't, by itself. You need to add a different element. For example, tick the green box on the left if you agree or the red box on the right if you don't. I hope you have enjoyed these two key tips. If you'd like to know more, you may want to read the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, but please be aware that these are for enthusiasts only and are complex. Follow the two main guidelines we suggest here and they will keep you on track. If you have any questions about colour contrast, do let us know.